Hi, everyone. Sharon Sananda here. Thank you for being here. Today is 9/11, a day where a lot of us remember 20 years ago what happened in New York City and in DC at the Pentagon. And so I wanted to share my experience, my memory of that morning quickly. This is a quick video, not a long video. I just thought that hopefully my experience might give some people some solace because it was a comforting experience that I had while this was going on before I even knew what was happening. And my heart goes out to all the people who lost loved ones during that tragedy. And my prayers have always been with you. Our country, the whole world was affected by what happened that day. So what I wanted to share was this was 2 months. And in 2001 was when I had my near-death experience in June. So this was 2 months after my near-death experience, my NDE, where I was met by Jesus. Now, I was home recuperating from the accident, the event, I guess you could say. And you can look, if you're interested in hearing about my near-death experience, I have it on my channel here. What happened during that morning for me was I was starting to have out-of-body experiences. And that morning I was in an out-of-body experience. This was 9/11. I did not know what was happening. I lived in San Antonio, Texas. And I was still in bed sleeping, again, home, convalescing from my trauma from the event of my near-death experience. And during my near-death experience or my out-of-body experience that morning, I saw my grandparents around me, other people around me. I was in the middle. I just came out in the middle of an event, I guess you could say, which happens a lot in out-of-body experiences or dreams, but this was an out-of-body experience where I was conscious and aware. And I come out and I'm awake and there's a lot of people around me and I have the awareness that there are people that are being hurt and there are other people there to help them. It was chaos. I will say that it was chaos. And I do recall my grandparents being there and people. I was in a hallway at first where I saw my ancestors, who I knew were my ancestors. And then this hallway opened up to where I was experiencing and seeing chaos. Now, granted, I did not know what was going on because I was still in bed sleeping. And so I saw a lot of chaos. I saw people running around. And then I see who I recognized as Jesus off in the little bit of a distance, I'm going to say maybe 20 feet from me. And I was so happy to see him. And I recognized him right away. And this is only 2 months after my near-death experience. And I've mentioned before that it took me a while to remember my NDE and what happened with that and that experience with Jesus, with Yeshua. And I saw him standing there and he had children, and I want to cry thinking about it, or talking about it. I haven't actually, I'm interrupting myself, but I have not shared this publicly, this experience. It was so profound for me. I kept it to myself. I saw children around him. I saw children around Jesus, and he had his arm around two little boys standing there, and there were children around him, and they were looking at me. And I saw these beings that were, I'm going to say light beings, because they were not part of the chaos, and they were standing there, and he had his arms and his hands out as well. He had his arms, his hands around these children and his hands facing forward. These beings had their and I just feel this emotion coming up, had their hands out, sending light to these people that were in confusion and terror. And I saw these people turning around and recognizing that they were there to help them. And these people moved toward him. And when I saw Jesus, I went to him and I said, "You're here. I want to be with you." This was in my mind, and he telepathically, or this was a telepathic communication, not in words. "No, this isn't for you. This is not for you. We're not here for you." And it was at that point, because again, I did not know what was happening. At that point, I realized that something very scary was happening. And I moved back, and I went back and gave from him. And I was almost frightened by him, not him himself, but whatever was going on. I was frightened, not almost, I was frightened by what was going on and what was happening there. And at that point, right around that time, I was standing there watching, again, not understanding what was happening, and the phone rang. And it was my mother calling me and to tell me, it was around 9 o'clock in the morning, because I was in Texas, to tell me to turn on the TV, that something awful had happened. And that brought me back from that experience. The reason I'm sharing this, and then I turned on the TV and saw the last tower, the live plane. The plane hit the last tower live. The reason I'm sharing this is, even though it was a horrible tragedy, it brought me comfort that there were these light beings helping these people, seeing that with my own eyes and my own consciousness, and understanding it afterwards. And this is before I started understanding and doing spirit rescue. So even though I was there watching it, I did understand that they were there to help them, but I did not understand what that was all about until I was woken up and saw what happened. That was very profound for me, because I realized that they are there to help. We have so many beings that will help us during times of tragedy and things like that, that when these things happen, and they were there to help them. It helped me deal with that crisis and deal with what our whole country was going through, and basically the world. But we, as a nation, were so traumatized, and I can't even imagine what the families are and still going through, that had to deal with that, and also the rescuers and everyone. Again, my heart goes out to them still, because this is a day of remembrance, and celebrating the heroes also that helped in that during that horrible time. So again, I just wanted to share my experience, do this publicly, because I've never talked about this before. I did journal it, but I've never talked about it. It's it's a memory that sometimes we just kind of tuck away and don't want to look at again, even though seeing Jesus and seeing those light beings and the children around him, he had so many children around him, and seeing those light beings help those people move out of that trauma and that terror was a balm of sorts, definitely, for me. And I hope that helps any of you that might be in that place of remembrance with that despair and trauma, knowing that not only then, but we do have beings that help us whenever we die, and we don't really die anyway. So I want to thank you for being here, and I hope that you're having a beautiful day. And God bless our country. God bless you. I love this country so much, and we will get through anything together. We have to stick together. Don't let anyone divide us. We have to stick together. We have to be one. We are one. And please remember that we are one, and it's all about love. It's all about love. We have to just love each other. Thank you. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Have to say this is YouTube. Subscribe, like if you like it, comment if you want, and have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.